Welcome, Pete. It's really good to have you here today.
Thank you, Verona. It's great to be here.
What we're going to talk about is actually 7IMagine and how you would use that for a client review. 7IMagine obviously being our online app that we've had available for some time, and we're really excited about it, and we've been getting some great feedback. So we'd like to share with everyone today exactly how you can use the app to do your client review.
Great.
I suppose the first thing is just how long have you been using 7IMagine?
Well, we're big fans of 7IM, as you know, and we've been working with you guys for a long time. So we've been using it since it came out, and obviously increasingly so as we've been seeing new clients reviewing existing clients and showing them what it can do.
Fantastic. And, what's kind of client uses 7IMagine? We can go through all the stereotypes about, if someone's over a certain age, they're not going to use it. Have you found that, you've got certain client types that will use it and other clients that won't?
Absolutely not.
Fantastic.
It really is easy to use for everybody. The great thing about the technology now is that it's a fantastic leveler. So people reach for their iPad or their Android tablet or whatever, rather than firing up a laptop, and rather than having to negotiate windows and find their way through that. It's just so intuitive, and the app makes great use of that. And so every client that we've shown it to has immediately got excited about it and love the fact that they can very easily log in and see where they're at any given time.
That's fantastic, and that's fantastic to hear that all clients are actually open to having their portfolio and their information shown to them in this way.
There's no easier way to get hold of the information, so that's what we're finding that people are getting excited about and adopting very easily.
Fantastic. Okay, should we take a look at the app?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Brilliant. Okay.
Obviously, looking from this from an advisor's perspective, the sort of opening part here is the Rolodex. So all an advisor's clients are here. So I can flick through and see which of my clients I want to deal with. Obviously, if I'm dealing with Mrs. Barron here, I can double click and open her file here.
So all your clients there at a touch. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Worth mentioning actually here that you'll see as I go through this that sort of magical hand appearing on the screen. That's quite handy if I am projecting the screen rather than just showing an iPad one-to-one with a client, but perhaps projecting it on my office wall, which we do now and again. The hand means that the client can see what I'm doing. So it's just quite helpful. So that's a neat little touch. So when the client logs in, they come to their welcome screen. And there's three elements to this, and the one which immediately comes to the fore is what's called the carousel, which is a great place for keeping clients updated in the context of their portfolios and in different ways. So there are perhaps some documents on here which might be useful for them to read, but not everybody wants to read.
Nope,
so there's videos on here, there's audio podcasts as well. So perhaps some information from Chris Derbyshire, the Chief Investment Officer, about what changes they're making to the portfolios and how that affects the client.
Okay, so it's all about serving up the information in a different way to clients, and then they can choose, do I want to listen to a podcast or would I like to read something? How do I want to receive this important information?
Absolutely, we're all different and we all like to consume this stuff in different ways. So other than the carousel here, which is scrolling past, there are two main options. One is for the client to look at their portfolio, which we'll come to in a minute. But then there's a link for their wall, which is a kind of collecting place for interesting things from the web. So if there is a Twitter feed you might want to follow, you can see we've got our good friend Justin
yes.
there, source of much value.
Absolutely.
But that can be customized, so you could add my Twitter feed, for example, or yours, for
or E-Entertainment even.
Yes, absolutely. You can put in any RSS feed, so you see the one there, which is the sort of daily chart, or anything really. Any website can be added to that, and it's just a sort of holding place and a repository for your favourites, and that can be customised.
Fantastic. And I suppose, do you find some of your clients actually add your website in there?
Absolutely, we encourage them to do that, in fact. So
thought you might.
So it's just another way that we as advisors can help keep in touch with them regularly. So that's the wall, very customisable. But what clients really want to see is what they're worth, right?
Where's my money?
So when I'm with a client, or when the client logs in for the first time, this is the screen they're looking at. So this is their summary screen. Each of their accounts are along the bottom and also represented by one section of the pie. Underneath the pie chart is this slider which takes the client back in time. So it starts with their current value, but can be swept back to what the value was 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 3 years ago. So that's really tactile. Really handy to be able to see where they've come over time.
That's fantastic, and it's all at your fingertips, rather than if the client did ask you the question, you going through reams of paper to find the answer.
Much more accessible than a piece of paper. A double tap into any one of their accounts breaks it down into individual holdings. What we're looking at here is a sort of representation of that. So the height of these hexagons shows the relative value of that particular holding.
Fantastic.
But again, they can scroll back through time. They can select one particular holding and scroll back through time. So it's very tweakable and very fiddleable. So that
like
they
that
can,
word, fiddleable, yes.
it's almost certainly not a word,
Yeah.
but they can see where they were at various points and to various levels of granularity. So that's their summary. So the next tab up on the top right is their performance tab. So here again is their entire portfolio and the performance of how it's done over time. So that's currently a 5-year view, but the scroller on the bottom again, we can narrow that window to 3 years or 1 year. Okay. We can also, with these buttons across the top, bring in an index to compare with, like the DJ stocks in Europe.
So put it in real world terms.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. So rather than looking at it just in the abstract, you can compare it with what's actually going on in the world. That's great for triggering discussions with clients as well, which is kind of the whole point of this.
Absolutely.
To get them to engage with their money. So that's performance, which can be done on an overall portfolio view or by selecting one of the accounts along the bottom. Next up is asset allocation. So how much of their money is where? And again, different levels of detail. So this is their overall view and at quite a high level. So blue here is equities, green is cash and money market, yellow is bonds. But again, a double tap will break each section down. So in this case, we can see that that's UK equity. So they've got 61% in equities altogether, but 40% is in the UK. Great for discussion and really drilling into where the money is held. Yeah, absolutely. But again, as much level of detail as you want, or as high level as you want, which is really great. And then finally, the most fun part of the app, which is the globe. Everybody, whoever had a globe at school or anything, used to spin it around, and they can do it virtually here. And again, they can just see whereabouts in the world their money is invested. Click through into individual areas, and they can see the percentage held there. So this is what we find people play with the most. Once they've spun it around a couple of times just for fun, they really look at it, and it can really bring home where the money is held and how it's been looked after.
So it really puts it into the world context.
Yeah.
So much better than, say, a table or an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, much better than an Excel
Different
spreadsheet.
world, literally, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much more tactile and tweakable on the fly, and clients can ask a question and usually we can answer it straight from the app. So they love that, and as an advisor, obviously, it's just something else I can add to make sure that I'm adding value.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'd be interested to know, how does 7IMagine compare with other apps that you've seen, either in financial services or actually in non-financial services?
There's no financial services app which is anything like it, so you guys are market leaders on this, there's no doubt about that. But actually I've not come across anything quite like it anywhere, because it marries really important information, sensitive information, but makes it accessible and fun, and that's quite a difficult balance to strike, really. There was always a potential for something like this to be quite dry, but it actually does quite the opposite, and it's very engaging. So it's a great piece of work. Looking forward to seeing how it develops over time.
Yeah, which is great to hear, and we've got some exciting developments coming up. So working with the team back here, there's some more things. This is really our starter for 10, and this is the base, and we hope it to keep pushing the bar up on this.
It's a great start. Yeah, the future's bright.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Verona. Thank you very much for having me.